The battle between Nikon and Canon is back when it was back in the photography days. But now we are talking on filmmaking cameras, on hybrid cameras, focused highly on video. So what these cameras can do, what are the shortcomings, which one is better for you, you're gonna find out in this video. Coming up. So just as a background information, I'm using the Nikon ZR when it came out, and also I'm using the Canon C50 now like over a good month, 2 months. So I used both of them in several jobs and I have a pretty good understanding of what these cameras can do and what they can't do. And also we tested them in different situations here, outside the studio, inside the studio, to give you an honest overview of the cameras. So let's start by the body design first. So the Canon C50 obviously has an advantage here because it's truly designed as a hybrid camera, and we have loads of buttons on the camera and you can customize that wherever you want. And the only advantage that the Nikon ZR has is the battery life, which is great, and the big screen. Other than that, just the grip and ergonomics and everything feels better on the Canon C50, full stop. Also, we have these threads on the camera, which makes it really easy if you want to properly secure a cage on the camera and everything like that. So this is just a proper design for a hybrid camera, which I would wish every camera manufacturer to implement. Are these threads and also a little bit more buttons and kind of a little bit better grip to use. And the Nikon ZR in particular is hard because there's really no grip on the front side, and if you have big hands like me, it's getting even harder. Let's start with the image quality, and here I was shooting on the Nikon ZR in Red RAW because I think these are just best colors and the best codec in the camera. And on the Canon C50 I was shooting in C-Log, and we used the exact same lens, swapped it each time. Exposure didn't change, cameras were exposed the same. We used the exact same ND filter, which was a true IR&D, so there shouldn't be any difference at all. But what we directly see in all of these images is that the Canon, I feel like, stays very consistent. So it has a really neutral image. So there's nothing like where you say like, oh, this camera has a blue tint, it has a yellow tint, it has a green tint, it has a magenta tint, whatever it is. You basically don't see that on the camera, so the Canon is really neutral when it comes to colors. On the Nikon ZR, I really like the red colors, so we have this kind of a green tint, and I think personally I also like the skin tones more, but obviously the Canon Log 2 is also great when it comes to that, because you just have a really neutral starting point. Then we also, let's talk quickly kind of into dynamic range already. We have the shot here where we have the sun really coming from behind, and we really wanted to see if there's any difference. And also talking about the Lumix S1 II, we basically did all the things in the same order with each camera. Just take into account is the cameras are exposed the exact same way, so there's no difference in exposure. We definitely see that there is more highlight information in the Canon C50 and in the Lumix S1 II. So there's already, the sky is a little bit clipped on the Nikon ZR, and you can clearly see it also in the waveform. You don't see it as much in the image, but if you look closely, you can still figure out some clouds in the Canon C50 whereas you cannot on the Nikon. So this already tells you that the dynamic range is kind of different, but is it better? No, because if we compare the over and under exposure, the distribution of the dynamic range is just different. So the Nikon ZR is better when it comes to underexposure, and the Canon C50 is better when it comes to overexposure. So which one is better? It's just kind of how you want to expose and where the camera has more lean room. But the Canon is really good up to 4.5 stops, which is a really great result. And the Nikon is clean up to 3.5 stops, something like that. And if you underexpose, the Canon really loses a lot of color information. Until 2 stops under, it's still usable, but past that, I think it's not really usable. Whereas the Nikon ZR, you can easily go up to 3.5 stops for underexposure. So I would say the exposure latitude in the Nikon ZR is more balanced, whereas on the Canon it's clearly more focused on the highlights. So all in all, I think that brings us to 6.5 to 7-ish stops on the Canon C50 and also like 7-ish stops on the Nikon ZR, which is a value which is kind of the standard which you have amongst all these mirrorless cameras these days. So it's a really solid result, and I wouldn't say anyone is better than the other in that regard. So obviously the Lumix is a little bit better when it comes to that. So they squeezed out a lot of the sensor, but just from the normal point, you don't see that much in the real world scenarios. And when I was shooting with either of these cameras on professional jobs, I didn't feel limited by the dynamic range in any scenario, honestly. Also, when we talk about low light capabilities, both cameras perform great. So all of these cameras these days perform great. We have ISO 800, ISO 6400. They look clean, they look good. So that low light performance shouldn't be an issue, I think. Also, neither should rolling shutter an issue for you. What it comes down to is obviously the conclusion which camera is more suited for you. So the Canon C50 has a few advantages. It shoots true 24 frames per second, which the Nikon does not, which is obviously kind of a little bit of an issue because it claims to be a cinema, because it's written on the back, and cinema is 24 frames, right? And also kind of the overall usability from the Canon C50 is better because you have false color, you have so many things to choose from to check your image, the exposure and everything like that. It's still a little bit hard on the Nikon ZR, in my opinion. And also the camera from the grip is better at the C50. So yeah, it's just price-wise, obviously the Nikon ZR is priced really aggressively because they really want to go into the market, and Canon stays at its point. But overall, if we take all these features into account, I think the Canon offers a lot for their money, because also with the top handle and proper XLR inputs, so everything is just there where it needs to be. On the ZR, you feel a little bit limited on some points, which is fine. You can't complain for that money, but it's just the way that I would feel. And yeah, also Canon C50 has open gate, which the Nikon ZR has not, if that's an option for you. So all in all, I think you have a little bit more on the Canon C50, and it's really more a true hybrid camera when it comes to that. So I really hope this video was helpful to you. Please don't forget to check out also the other comparison between the S1 II and the C50, and also the standalone review about the C50 if you want to check that out. And if you have any further question, you know the game, just drop it in the comments below, and I'm gonna see you in my next one. Cheers!